Here's Phil to tell you more.
You know, you were a joke in Dark Souls, straight up. Like, everyone laughed at your ability to play those games. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was funny. I can say I didn't have any personal grudge against you, but a lot of people did. You and a woman named Velvet 7. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't.
I think you'd really like her. I think you would.
I'm married.
She's. I'll leave it at that. But
Okay.
it was kind of a joke. And
Phil's actually kind of a chill guy. He's not really, over the top angry all the time.
Sometimes, exactly.
Can I interrupt you really quickly?
Oh, what's that? Okay, go ahead.
I want to say one thing before we continue on, because
I personally, I think that you paint the detractors with too broad of a brush.
They're absolutely the fucking weirdos, for sure. But I mean, both times I've interacted with you, some of them came into my chat last night, and initially there was a little bit of acrimony, but you talk to them and it's mostly fine, I think. I think a big problem for you is that you never leaned into the criticism. The more you pushed against them, the worse and worse they became. And I'm personally of the opinion that if you had just learned to laugh at yourself a little earlier on, then it would never have gotten this bad, in my opinion, my unsolicited opinion towards you. But every time you paint all of the people who have criticism of you as like this monolith of detractors who are all stalking your family, you're going to make it worse every single time you say that.
Yep. And you're right. And just for the record,
now when I say detractors, I don't mean people who don't like me. I mean people who stalk me. That's what I'm talking about.
When I say detractors, I mean the extreme cases.
All right. Would you say the only thing you've leaned into is banning people then?
You like the lean in ban?
Your lean in ban thing. Yeah. That's around when I stopped watching your streams. Is back then. I remember you getting pissed at people making fun of the lean in ban and the frogs. For some reason, you really didn't like the frogs.
Whoa! Feeding these frogs live pigs.
I just think that it's been a consistent problem is just painting too broad a brush with people.
I completely agree with you these days. You're right.
I don't know. I just miss the days when you would sing about Sonic and bestiality. I miss the singing.
Dude, I would love to play that on the stream. I mean, it's been.
Correct me if I'm misunderstanding this, but wasn't there a ban before that one where you made fun of a guy for having blue hair or something? Like you clicked on his Twitch profile and ridiculed his appearance?
Oh yeah, there was a few. That was one case where I'm just on my stream, and there's a guy who's a troll. He's an outright troll. He's making fun of me. He's insulting me. So I just clap back at him, and I just happened to look at his avatar, and he has blue hair. And I'm like, dude, you and your stupid, probably, I probably said like, you look like a Muppet or something like that, right? You look like a Muppet with your colored hair or whatever. And they actually just said, oh, this is strike one against your channel. How dare you like insult someone's physical appearance on your stream? I'm like, how do you even know that's them? It's just an avatar. I don't even know that that's really the person. I'm just making a stupid comment because they insulted me first. But to Twitch, that's like, oh God, you can't do that. In truth, now that I'm on YouTube, I can't even see people's avatars anymore. I couldn't insult someone if I wanted to because the avatars on YouTube are tiny and people use like anime shit anyway all the time. So
Do you want to insult someone right now?
Sure, let's see. Blastoise, that avatar's hideous. How dare you?
No, a real insult. Come on. You got better than that.
You were the king of hate. Come on.
Anyway, but I just want you to know I'm really sorry for anything like that happened. And it was obviously never my intention with us either talking or whatever that would happen. I never thought in my wildest dreams that they would come and kind of be like a negative thing for you.
Are you
I
sure
feel
about
really
that?
bad about it.
I mean, you got to know that when you mention people, they're gonna get some blowback for interacting with you. You know that.
Now I do. But here's the change: is that back then I was mostly a moron.
Fun fact, real quick. I know I'm interrupting a lot, but this is relevant.
Go ahead.
One of the people that came to my Discord from yours was a guy who posted himself like
he would shit in the toilet and post it in my Discord. Like, look what I did today.
What the fuck? Oh,
So, are you familiar with someone who goes by the name Mausolus10?
no.
That's
Oh.
another person who arrived at my stream because of our past interaction, where he believed that he could utilize the psychic plane to invade anyone's dreams because he was a product of MK Ultra, and the only thing that protected me from his dream assaults was my dog protected me in the dreamscape. And he would threaten random viewers with stay out of the grass for the next 3 weeks. He would call black people red guards
Racism.
from Skyrim. And I'm
What?
like, yeah, this is the
This is the DSP everyman. This is their guy.
Yeah, that's true. Sarah in the chat just said, I had a fan for years who he's the nicest guy in the chat, but now I found out that the guy's basically like a file. Like he's got all this shit on his YouTube channel and stuff. It's disgusting. And I tried to be nice to the guy for the longest time because he would never break the rules. He would never do anything wrong in my chat. But then everyone kind of campaigned to get him banned. And then finally I got convinced by these people I was doing a collab with to get rid of him. And I was like, I guess, this is the kind of people that get involved in these communities. Like, dude, it's weird. The internet's a
How
weird
do you have to
fucking
be
place.
convinced? What do you mean? Can you elaborate on that a little more for me?
Listen. It's not like I have any problem kicking, a file out of my community. The problem is, this is someone who has absolutely never shown that in any of my streams or content. Like, I wouldn't even know about this if my detractors hadn't stalked this guy. Like, apparently they went to his social media, they went to his YouTube channel, they went to private playlists. I don't know, because I literally have never seen it. I don't want to see it, right? I don't want to be involved with that shit. But, I start hearing from detractors, oh, this guy is this guy is that. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to pay attention to it. I'm not a guy who's going to micromanage and stalk every one of my fans because someone says something negative about them, right? So it was like my philosophy. Listen,
I'm not your dad. I'm not your fucking parent. I'm not the cops.
I shouldn't be, going to everyone's social media to see what you're into in your private life and shit. I really don't care. Just don't bring it to my content. I want to know nothing about it. But
okay. So I have a few problems with that.
All right, fine.
The thing
Go
about that is like, yeah, you shouldn't be stalking people, but in this instance, it sounded like they were doing you a favor. They're saying there's someone who's into like little kids. Like that's giving you like that's not stalking someone and being unreasonable. If someone says like this person has pedophilic tendencies, you should probably ban them from your chat. You got to think of like, what if they're DMing other people in your chat? What if they're doing shit behind the scenes? I think you as a content creator, a streamer, however you want to style yourself, has a responsibility to the people who pay your bills to protect them from people like that. I think that if it took you a long time from when they first told you to you banning them, that's a pretty big moral failing, in my opinion. We could take 5 minutes to check the validity of this, right?
Well, again, that's a big step. For me, that's a big step because you're saying now that any time that one of my detractors comes in and says, hey, just so you know, this person is doing something bad, now I'm supposed to just believe them and go check on every single person. Because what happens is when you give these people an inch, they take a mile. But I agree with you now.
The first time was a legitimate thing, though, right?
But now I know it was. I didn't know it was at first. It took a lot of convincing from a lot of different people. And in fact, I had to personally, behind the scenes, apologize to a couple of people who were not detractors, who did recently tell me about this guy. And I was like, I don't know. I don't want to give those haters that satisfaction.
But that literally doesn't make any sense to me. Like, the alternative is what? He's a file and you don't ban him, and that you're sticking it to the detractors that way. They would probably be like, okay, well, we don't like Phil. We don't like that he asked for so much money. But when it comes to serious issues like this, he's, because you got to stop thinking about these hypotheticals. Ultimately, you said previously, should I check every time one person says something about my viewers? But before you said that, you told me just now that a lot of people were telling you about Derich, right?
At one point, yes, very recently. And that's actually when I got rid of him.
Okay. Let's face it, like streaming's pretty cushy in a lot of ways. If you're asking people for money, you should do right by them. And I think that doing right by them means not allowing actual child predators to just freely roam the chat, right?
There's no DMs on YouTube. There's no way this guy could have like reached out and tried to stalk or harass people through my channel. It's like, it's my fault, right? Oh, you have a follower who's a fucking follower. How dare you not take action? I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, why are you bothering me with this shit, you know?
One of the things you said in our DMs is you feel like you're on a redemption arc, right? Like you're trying to go on a redemption arc and prove that people were wrong about you, yeah?
I'm not that I'm trying to prove people are wrong. I'm trying to improve.
I'm not trying to be aggressive towards you, but I think if you're
No.
going to talk about wanting to be better, then you need to like accept that you
Really fucked up on a lot of places.
because that's a
Mhm.
huge fucking that's a bad mistake. Letting it like if one person is just consistently saying like everyone in the chat's whatever, but if you have multiple people, you like within the next few hours you should see that, because what if what if you're wrong? What if your assumptions about like not being able to get into contact with people, what if they were on like I don't know if you still have the King of Hate forum, what if they were in a Discord or something, and people like that they're a cancer. You need to get rid of them immediately, even if they're not bringing it in to your stream, because it's not about, I mean, like the way you say it, it's like if they're part of your stream and they're not bringing it in, it just sounds like you're saying it's okay for people to be that way, and I don't think that's right. Okay, so I have something uncomfortable to ask you then.
Okay.
So you've been apologizing, but I think this is going to sound weird, but I think if someone does the legwork to find out you have an actual predator in your chat and alerts you of that fact, you should thank them for doing that for you, because they're, even if it's not necessarily their stated intended goal from the beginning of it, they're doing you a favor. And you should be grateful that even if it didn't start with the best of intentions, you should be a big enough man to say, you know what? I don't like you fuckers, but this time you did me a service, you did people in the chat a service, and I think that you deserve commendation for that, basically.
There are some times, absolutely, that good things come out of it. That was definitely one case. The Derich thing is definitely one case. But again, like that's 2 drops in a bucket of
Shit.
that they do. That it's like 2 positives out of 5 zillion negatives, and it's hard for me to really give credit with the other awful things they've said, they've done, they've heard. The extent of it is so ridiculous. I don't want to talk about it, because when you talk about it, you're giving them attention. That's what they want, right?
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt you really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've heard the opposite part of this too, where when you do something good and people are like, oh man, Phil actually knocked it out of the park, you feel like they only focus on the negatives, right? Like they won't acknowledge when you do a good thing. So I feel like they would say the exact same thing about you. That you just, it's just like listening to the other side of the fucking argument right now for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Fair enough.
you would say that, they would say that maybe Phil did good this time, that time, whatever, but does it justify like the WWE champions or whatever the fuck else they're mad about you? Because you kind of expect to be commended when you do something good, right? Like you say, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that, I made this mistake, that mistake, and I've gotten better. And if you can't have it just be a one-way thing, right?
This is the kind of shit I need to hear. This is the shit I don't hear, and I need to hear, because I can't. Go ahead.
Let's do this then. Are you willing to thank people for taking care of the Derich situation and taking care of the catfishing situation? You're not busy now. We're having this conversation. So are you comfortable saying that? I'm not asking you to worship people. You don't have to like them.
Right.
But if you want people to look past their misgivings with you, you have to do the same. And you have to acknowledge when people actually do something that's positive, because it could have gone a whole nother way. Like if they really wanted to ruin your life to the extent that you think, they may have tried to embolden someone like Derich and enable him and get him in a position where he'd be able to cause real harm to your community.
To those of you out there who even if you don't like me, to those of you who have done me a solid, who have done these kind of things, exposing that ridiculous catfish, right? Not taking care, but exposing the truth about the Derich situation. Thank you for that, because those are things that help the community, that help me. And I do appreciate that, because, for me, I'm just a dude sitting here streaming all day. I don't really go outside of like like Tolo has even said here, it's rare when I would go outside of my comfort zone to explore into these regions, these realms of this shit going down. So I don't even know what to believe half the time, right? You know, I hear that. I've heard that about Derich for about a year. I heard that about Derich.
I've heard that about Derich for about a year. I heard that about Derich.
For those of you who were involved with that shit, I do appreciate that. But that's how they'll spin it. That's exactly how they are, you know?
I mean, that's just content. That's how it goes, right? Like, I think as long as they're not trying to do anything that invades your personal life.
I think that they should be able to make and spin their little videos.
It's funny sometimes, right?
I
Like
appreciate the humor of it, but where it gets dangerous, okay, is when some of these people are saying shit. Like, for example, this just happened a couple weeks ago, okay? I was on my podcast talking about, you know, like a CEO of a company laying off a bunch of employees. And I'm like, that shouldn't happen. What should happen is the CEO is the one who screwed up. He should be fired and he should be thrown out of the building, and they should take a box of all his belongings and like shoot it into the street. Like comedically, like a cartoon or something, or like a 1980s movie, someone getting fired, right? One of my detractors actually makes a video. Phil said that the CEO should be shot in the middle of the street. He's inciting violence, right? It's like, what?
But it's like I said earlier, though, like, I think if you got more comfortable with laughing at yourself earlier on, I don't think it would have, maybe it would. I don't know. It's a hypothetical, but I don't know, man. Just you need to roll with the jokes more. I think the idea of you shooting a CEO in the middle of the street's pretty funny. Maybe you don't, but
No.
So do you have any aspirations to have any more people on this stream? Because I have a recommendation for the next collab. Do you know who King Cobra JFS is?
Basically, if you masturbate as a dude, if you masturbate with no lube, you hobo jerk yourself off. You know what I'm saying?
I have actually, the reason I know of him is because I have a react show, a clips react show, and people have submitted clips of him to the show, and I've watched them, and I've seen his snail sandwiches and shit that he does. Yeah.
Do a community night or something. Like that one time you played World of Warcraft and everyone was fucking you for like 3 hours. And you think you'd be able to laugh at something like that now?
All right. Well, guys, that was pretty interesting, was it not? That was very interesting. I think someone really didn't like Tolo. So Rick Perez first did a $2 super chat and says, laughing out loud, that's what happened to Maximilian too. I don't know what that's in reference to, because that was probably from the beginning of the interview. But thank you for that. Then Rick Perez did another super chat. People are mad because Phil isn't joining a lynch mob. Okay, thank you for that. Then he did another super chat. This guy is a douche. I don't think he's genuine at all. This is probably a waste of your time. I don't feel that at all. I completely disagree with you. Then Rick did another super chat. Be grateful for people stalking and thought crimes. Again, Rick with the $2 super chat saying, is this guy auditioning for side scrollers? No, he's not. I don't think he would ever be on side scrollers. I'm pretty sure that's not his kind of content. Rick did another $5 super chat. It doesn't matter. Let me moralize. You keep bringing it up every 5 seconds. I don't even know what you're talking about there. But thank you for another super chat. Then he did, dude, seriously, every super chat is from this Rick Perez guy. He did another $2 super chat. Being harassed is funny, says Tolo. No. Then Hank Fritz did a $2 super chat, says, don't debase yourself with lolcow shit, Phil. I think that's in reference because Tolo said, confused. Why don't you box Boogie? And it's like, I don't want to box anyone. That's fucking stupid. 672, that's on me. 672 says,
You mentioned more than once you would have taken the Derich issue more seriously if you weren't only the detractors bringing him up, but regulars, including myself, brought it up.
The problem is that this is my problem. This is not your problem. This is my problem. Okay? Basically, I have to update top super chatter, and it's Rick Perez.
Oh, I received a tip from Gaping Fart Hole. Oh, how nice. It was a $1 tip.
Hint, hint. So, hint, hint. So, hint, hint.